once again. We want to get our volume sorted out. Can you all hear me? Great, great. Well, my name, I think you all know who I am. My name is Alain Barker. I'm not Alain Barker's cousin or twin or something like that. This is the real person. And I'm very happy to be here in front of you. Our president, our amazing president, Ron Barnes, is traveling and has asked me to step up here once again to help out with the meeting. So welcome to Rotary, and it is the 5th of September, which means that we're in a new month. And Rotary International has a new theme, which is basic literary and education. And so hopefully we'll be talking about that through the month. We all get our magazine, and I'm sure that there will be a feature article on education and literacy. And as I was thinking about this month and our history with education and literacy, I just want to give a huge shout out to all of those who've been involved in Teachers Warehouse through the years to make education and literacy possible. So huge thanks to you all. Yeah. Okay, so we'll get going with a reflection with Tracy Ivanovich.
Thank you. Ex-President Alon? Acting President Alon? All right, so I thought I would share, could you put it in present? There you go. Things that make you go, that ought to keep, anyone that's my age, CNC Music Factory is gonna be raging through your head for the next week and a half, I'm just telling you. For those of you who aren't my age, you'll have to look that up to see what I mean. So, Stefan, we have a nephew in Belgrade, Serbia. His name's Stefan, and we've been trying to get Stefan to come to America for about 5 years. And he had to go to math camp the first year, and then COVID hit. So finally, this was the summer, Stefan got to come visit us. And we took him on a trip to the Northeast because, surprisingly, they do not teach American history in Serbia. Who knew? So we said, before you come, you've got to watch National Treasure, because how do you get a kid to appreciate American history? You tell them to watch Nicolas Cage and National Treasure. And we're going to hit Philly, and we're going to hit New York, and we're going to hit DC. And sure enough, he wanted to see the church in New York City, not the Empire State Building. And it's like, seriously. But it really was pretty interesting because it allowed us to look at things through a different perspective. And so that's what I mean by when things that make you go, we drove because, again, him being from Serbia, he needed to see the expanse of the country. And he was amazed that we weren't in another country when we got to Ohio, that we weren't in another country when we got to Pennsylvania. It's like, yeah, no, they speak English. A little different, but they speak English. So we started in Philly, and we stayed at the Marriott downtown next to the Reading Street station. We wanted him to get the full experience of Philly. So of course we went and had cheesesteaks. We walked there. Walking to the cheesesteaks, to Pat's and Gino's is an experience in and of itself. Walking to Reading Station was nothing because it was right next door, but Reading Station itself was amazing. And then we went to, of course, the reason we were there, which was Independence Hall. And for those of you who have forgotten Independence Hall, I lived in Philly, so I went there like 6 or 7 times. And the thing that made me go, there were quite a few things, but I think on the trips that I'd always gone before, you kind of take it for granted. We're taught in school since middle school, really, about American history, and we just gloss over things. And this trip, it was much more impactful. So obviously it was the principal meeting place for the Second Continental Congress for the 13 colonies representatives to come together. There was a lot of contention between them. So I thought a little bit about that. The Declaration of Independence, it was approved there in 1776. And then the Articles of Confederation were approved in 1777. What I hadn't thought about was the conflict around the Articles of Confederation, because that was just words to me and I couldn't be bothered. This time I actually thought about it when we were over in the hall where those were created, and the discussion around the Bill of Rights and how they had to change and adapt the Articles of Confederation because it wasn't working for the central government. It worked well for each of the states individually, but they needed to pull the government together. And so Hamilton and Madison really worked and crafted that Bill of Rights together. And the things that made me go about that was, as I said, first of all, that I'd traveled there many times, shown people, and I'd never really thought about it. It's like, yep, here's where the Declaration was signed, here's the Liberty Bell, and you just kind of get rote and go through it. This time, I was really thinking about the weight of what these men did together, and they didn't necessarily get along. And so why was I thinking about this differently? Was it because Stefan was from out of the country? and we had different eyes and different perspectives? Was I thinking about it because of the discourse in our country today? Or was I thinking about it because of the hope we need to have to be sure that our democracy stays intact and that we can civilly work through our differences? Probably a little bit of all, but I can honestly say I'd never thought, or maybe because I'm getting older, there's always that. But it definitely had a deeper impact. So then we moved to New York City, and it wasn't quite as impactful there. I'll just say New York City is just a great city. We had a good time, saw everything. What I will say that made me go, New York City is I used to work downtown in New York City 20 years ago or so. And man, has it changed. Just the skyline alone is amazing. So if you haven't been in a while, you should always go back. That place is always changing. So on to Washington, D.C. And in the interest of time, I will focus on kind of 3 memorials that we looked at. We took Stanton to the Capitol. We went to all the monuments, the Smithsonian, as well as the Holocaust Museum, and we walked his legs ragged. We stayed in Marriott downtown. We didn't drive anywhere, and it was hot. But he was a trooper and really enjoyed it. So the first thing that I will start with is that we went to, this is instead of a things that make you go in, this was a thing that makes you go, We went to have dinner at a restaurant, a Michelin restaurant called Jaunt in Northeast DC. I can highly recommend it. You got to get reservations, but well worth doing. So that was a really good. And then the questioning started when we went to the Capitol tour. And in the rotunda, and I hadn't been there since I was at President's Leadership Council in high school. And in the Capitol tour in the rotunda, there's a statue of Jefferson Davis. I'm like, how can that be? You know, we're woke now, all this. And there was so that to me was amazing. That was placed there in 1931. The state of Mississippi, each state gets to have 2 statues that represent their state, and they have kept that there. And there's been a lot of effort to try to get it removed. It's still standing, but that was one that I went, how is that possible? So that was the first. Next up was the walking tour through the monuments. And I brought a few pictures to help, let's see if I can work this. Very good. A few pictures to help you remind you of what the monuments look like that I'm going to talk about. But I never, again, I walked past these, I drove past these daily when I lived in DC. I've lived in all these cities, by the way. And I never really soaked in the depth and the meaning of some of the words. And so as I looked at this one, I thought about what Thomas Jefferson had written. I'm not an advocate for frequent changes in laws and constitutions, but they must go hand in hand with the progress of the human mind. As that becomes more developed, more enlightened, as new discoveries are made, new truths discovered, and manners and opinions change with the change of circumstances, institution must advance also to keep pace with the times. Okay, I felt this was really more relevant during my lifetime and incredibly true. While it was incredibly true 200 plus years ago, it's incredibly true today as well. And I started thinking about social media and AI and all these things coming, and our institutions really able to keep up with the pace. Don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. We'll see, because we're living it, right? So next on the walk was the FDR monument. And I don't think I ever paid attention to this one. I think because of the way it's situated, we just kind of walked along. And for those of you who know my husband, Vlad, and he's from Serbia, he actually knows probably more American history than anyone in the room. He told me, as I was talking about wanting to talk about this speech, he said, cut FDR a break. He saved capitalism through a lot of socialist programs, which I thought was kind of funny. But true. However, and I'll start out with a softball, no pun intended, Shonda. But if you look in the lower left-hand corner, it says that the throwing out of balance of the resources of nature throws out of balance also the lives of men. We are living this now. And again, I felt like it was foreshadowing, although clearly it's always been an issue in various forms. So then in the middle, the engraving reads, "We must scrupulously guard the civil liberties of all citizens, whatever their background. We must remember that any oppression, any hatred is a wedge to design our to attack our civilization." And this one, frankly, just felt hypocritical to me. And I stood there in front of it and I'm like, how have I not ever felt or thought about that before? And so I was wondering why I'm seeing this really for the first time. And is it the wokeism that's going on? And to be clear, I'm not necessarily a fan of all the wokeism. I think it brings a lot to the forefront, like me actually thinking deeper, and maybe that's the positive of it. But I had never really thought about that. And this is where Vlad and I got into a deep discussion on cutting FDR a little bit of slack. But that was a big for me. And then lastly, on the right, it reads, the test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much, it is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. And the here to me is that we're facing another moment, I believe, in our history along those lines, as the middle class continues to shrink. And this history could and is repeating itself. So to me, it's further evidence that it's important for us as Rotarians to continue to work and place service above self, because we are facing some of these challenges today. Uh-oh, got a little carried away. We are facing some of these challenges today. So I'll close it out on the statues with a moment of hope and Martin Luther King's statue. Out of the mountain of despair, there's always a stone of hope. And I loved this over the tidal wave. And the irony was not lost on me that he's looking over at Jefferson on this one. So to wrap it up, it's always a blessing to have foreigners come travel with you, as it encourages us to think and look at things differently through fresh eyes. I hope that each of you are able to find a few things that make you go, as it's refreshing to embrace different perspectives.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy. You're such a wonderful person and such a great member of this club. And isn't it great to be part of an international organization that constantly gives us pause about the things that we have assumed to be true that are then revealed to be different through other people's eyes. So that's really fabulous. Thank you. Okay. We have our introduction of our guests. So James Wolfe, if you'd like to come and join me here, one of our new members from last year. Nice to see new members step up to the plate, including Tracy. And we're checking on somebody's. And while he's coming up here, let me just thank Joy for being our Zoom coordinator today. And we're going to come back to Joy in a second with guests. And then also our Greer Carson from the Monroe County Library. Our Zoom host is, and then Sarah Laughlin is our reporter this month. And then Tyler Martin Nichols, as always.
Okay. Our first guest, I introduced myself to her and she said, "You want me to stand or wave?" And I said both. So, and that guest is Rowena Cross Najafi. She's a member of the Bedford Rotary Club. And she is the District Youth Exchange Chair. So welcome, Rowena. Guest of Jim Bright is Liv DeSantis. Liv is an IU student, and welcome. Jason Ballinger is a guest of Liz Fettel. He is the head of JLB Design LLC. Way in the back of the room also. A guest of Trent Deckard is Bella Pakowski. She is an IU student studying Korean studies and international relations. Pat Bookwalker is the guest of Charlotte, and he's retired. She is retired. I'm sorry, she is retired. And last is Pam Lucan, guest of Judy Schroeder. And
thank you so much, James. We have birthdays to celebrate here. Oh, wait, no, Joy. Do we have any guests on Zoom?
Alon, we do not. We're just a group of Rotary Zoomers.
Okay, great. Well, great to have you Zoomers with us. And Rowena, talking about Zoomers, it's great to see you in person, because I keep on seeing you on Zoom. So it's great to have you here in person. It's really wonderful to see. Yeah, yeah. This is how I look, when I'm in, So getting back to birthdays, we have Marilyn Wood, September 5th. Happy birthday. Jim Shea, September 6th. Dee De La Rosa, September 7th. And also two others on September 7th, John Diltz, and Erin Davis. So happy birthday to you all. We don't have any member anniversaries this week. And Michelle Cohen, I believe that you're here. Would you like to come up, and she has an announcement to make? And then I think we'll switch to Happy Dollars for a second. That would be great.
Hello, I just wanted to invite all of you to take a look at the Lake Monroe Day flyer on the table and hopefully see if you're able to volunteer for one of these events. There is a sign up genius form that's on our Facebook page, and it will be going out in the roundabout as well. And if you don't want to deal with sign up genius, I also have a good old fashioned paper sign up. So I will be around until 1, and then I'm going to hand this off to Sarah Laughlin, who's sitting right there. And she will have it if you want to sign up. I do want to ask, we've got about 7 out of 17 slots filled for the volunteer spots. And there are also 10 spots for a fun pontoon trip. So maybe if you sign up to volunteer, you also sign up for that. Some folks were having trouble with the sign up genius. So if you think you signed up, but you are not, myself, I know I signed up, or let's see, who else was it? Sally Gaskell's on here. If you signed up online, but your name like that's not you, let me know, because we're having some challenges. So I want to make sure I get it fixed. Okay.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you for leading up this incredible project. Okay, we're going to have Happy Dollars for a second. I'm going to start by saying I'm going to give $20, 10 plus 10, because my one daughter has flown the coop and she's going to be doing her study away in Perugia, Italy. She arrived there safe and sound, and she's got a beautiful room and she's very happy. And my other daughter, Catherine, who's finished her degree here at IU, will be going to New York on Saturday. So $10 for each one of them. How about that? Okay.
Okay, I have 5 Happy Dollars here, 2.5 for Jawa here, and 2.5 for Amina, 2 of our Afghan guests who are doing very well over the last 2 weeks of practicing bicycling.
Oh, good.
So we've been working with YouTube videos and whatnot on getting them gliding on bicycles. So no feet on pedals, but they found a spot across the street from where they live with a very, very slight downhill where they can practice gliding with their feet down. And so they report really good progress. They expect in a couple more weeks, their feet will be on the pedals.
That's great.
I also have 5 Happy Dollars. I am happy because the Chicago Cubs, never say never, are 2.5 games out and are really in great shape in the wild card. So we could still win the division. And I'm headed to New York Thursday, actually, for a long weekend with my wonderful partner who's celebrating his 75th birthday.
That's great. Yeah. Joy, do we have anybody online who'd like to say anything?
Yes, I do. I would like to contribute $10 to Teachers Warehouse to announce that our club is sponsoring 4 students this year to go to the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, otherwise known as RYLA, and we already have 4. So between Tracy Ivanovich and Dick McCaig, and then a return student from last year, we're at 4 already. So if we get more inquiries, it's not to say no to those folks, to those students, but we are already, the interest, it's great that RYLA is already, we filled the sponsorships already.
That's fabulous. Wow, what a great project. Thank you. Thank you, Joy. Let's go with 2 more and then we'll be.
I want to announce, I got a phone call last week that I won the Publisher Clearinghouse sweepstakes. So I wanted to share that with you, especially because I hadn't even entered. So
I've got a happy dollar because I'm happy to be here and it's good to see you all. And what's more, over the weekend, Kyle and I successfully brought a fish into our youngest daughter's life, and that fish is still moving and swimming as of me leaving the house. And so that's reason to be happy.
That's great. That's fantastic. Okay, we'll have one more quickly, Judy. And by the way, Judy Witt is the originator of Teachers Warehouse. So thank you, Judy, for everything that you've done there.
Well, thanks everyone else for everything that you've done to make Teachers Warehouse possible. I'm thankful because of this club. A couple weeks ago, I offered some thank you money and I choked up on it, but I wanted to give it another try today and tell you just how special this club really is. I had telephone calls. I got lots and lots of sympathy cards, and it was just amazing that you all just really, I don't know who started it or where the impetus came from, but it was really wonderful to be out of town, but still hearing from my local club. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you so much. Great. Okay, well, that's it for today. Do we have one more, Liz Feidel?
Yes, I'm just very happy that my neighbor Jason came to Rotary with me today, and I look forward to more walks in the neighborhood with he and his dog, George.
That's great. Welcome, Jason. Okay, good. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you. Let's move on to our program. I'm going to invite Bob Zaltzberg to come and join me here and introduce our guest. We'll enjoy the conversation.
So it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Shonda Stanton, who was named IU softball's 9th head coach in 2017. She came to the Hoosiers after 18 seasons at Marshall, where she was the winningest coach in program history with 560 victories. She did speak to the Rotary Club when she was in West Virginia. This is her first time here. IU's had, a lot of you may know, IU has had a lot of success in softball, but it came really early in the 50-year history of the program. But Shonda has steadily, Coach Stanton has steadily built IU into a winner, and last year was an incredibly successful year. The Hoosiers were 44-18. They were 18-5 in the Big Ten. And it was Indiana's first 40-plus win season since 1994. You made the NCAA tournament as a number 2 seed. They beat number 3 seed Louisville twice before falling to the number 1 seed Tennessee in the regional final. She was an athlete when she was at UNC Greensboro, a 4-year starter, and led the team to back-to-back Big South Conference championships. Off the field, she earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in history at UNCG and helped start the Spartan Heroes program, which worked to increase community service initiatives. She has a master's degree in education from Ashland University, and she and her husband, Joe, live in Bloomington with their 2 daughters and 1 son. So it's my pleasure to introduce Coach Shonda Stanton.
Well, thank you for having me. Zoomers, you may want to turn your volume down. I talk hard, fast, and continuously. And Michael told me I had to stay behind the podium. So this is going to be a challenge. As coaches, we like to roam. But you know what? As a coach, I'm not going to just speak to you. I'm going to ask you if you're able to stand. You can do this exercise from your seats, but we're going to wake you up a little bit. We're going to do some burners. If you're seated, you can follow along and I'll make the adjustment. Don't worry, I won't wear you out too much, but we need some participation. We're going to spell Rotary. And if you're unsure how to spell it, it's right behind me. Okay. I am a teacher at hand. I thought, Tracy, thank you for the history lesson. I thought I wanted to be a U.S. history teacher in high school and a coach. I had so many great teachers and coaches, and I thought that would be my profession. And as I student taught, I had world history in 10th grade. And wow, they were not as engaged as I was. And so I thought there's got to be something else out there. And so I went on to get my master's as a graduate assistant for 3 different sports. And that is where I fell in love with coaching. And I got my first head coaching job at formerly IUPUI, which is now what? IUI? How exciting is that? And then I left Indy after 1 year, was 18 years. And now this is my 7th season here. And I am so humbled and honored to be here at Indiana University and leading the young women that I get to lead. So I have not forgot about those burners.
But Bob, you will have to cut me off as a coach. There's never a mic we don't like. And so when it's time to go, just tell me to wrap it up and I'll round third and head home. Sound good? All right. Those of you that would like to stand, let's do this. All right. And we are going to do some cat. You can do these seated as well. We're going to do some cat phrases and we're going to spell out rotary. You can put your hands on your hips or balance on your chair. And we're going to go R-O-T. I don't hear you guys. A-R-Y. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. All right. I'm going to need a little bit more vocal participation. And again, if you're seated, you can do this. All right. Next, we are going to do some half jacks. And so all we're going to do is or just jacks with our legs. We're going to isolate the legs. We're going to go out. R. We're going to keep our hands on our hips. So if you're seated, you can just move your legs out. You ready? R-O-T-A-R-Y. Anybody watching the Zoomers? Are they up? Joy, are you up? Come on, Zoomers. You can do it from your seat. All right, now we're going to do half jacks, and we're just going to go to here, and we're going to spell it out again, right? So spread out a little bit, or just touch on your neighbor. And again, you can do them from here. Ready? R-O-T-A. God, not bad, not bad. We're getting better. Now we're going to do a full jack. You ready? R. Come on, ready, go. R-O-T-A-R. Oh, we got a winner over here. Okay. Now, typically we'll go back down in that cycle, but I won't make you since you did a fine job. Give yourself an applause, high five somebody next to you. Just thought I'd wake you up a little bit. What do you think two of the questions are that are asked every time of a coach or an athlete? Give me one after a game. Give me one question that's asked. Okay, I wish they'd asked me that, right? Okay. I wish they'd asked me that. They do at some point. Two questions you get asked no matter in any game, no matter where you play, no matter the sport. One is, did you win? Okay. And what do you think the second question was? You guys are just great thinkers. What was the score? What was the score? So as a coach, I know, and I knew at a very young age, I imagine this, right? 8-year self, cute little brown hair with, gaps in my teeth, those buck teeth, right? The blue trucker hat. I played for Dairy Queen. Okay. And I knew when we won, we got to go where? Dairy Queen, and we got free ice cream. So I knew winning was important at a very young age. Okay. So as a coach, how do you evaluate success? I know everybody on the outside world, right? Bob talked about we came off one of the most successful seasons. We did things that haven't been done since 1987. It was great sitting here talking with Pat about some of the first coaches here ever, Ann Levere and Gail Blevins, just legends in our game. And I'm standing on their shoulders, right? Their ceiling is my floor. Okay. So I ask you, how do you define success? That's going to be a real question. When you're a coach, you want engagement. So tell me, how do you define success? Okay, great. What else? Teamwork, love it. You had your hand raised earlier. You can have some my time. What did you have during happy money? I like it. Where's the money going? New York Mets. So you're a Mets fan. So we got a Mets fan. We got a Cubs fan. We got any Guardians fans? Yeah, I knew him back in the Indians days with the big drum. Go ahead, sir. Culture, yes, is a big one. Okay. Well, I know for me as a coach, we're defined often by our win-loss record, correct? And I know as a head coach what my purpose is, what my mission is, and where I'm headed. Because there's seasons where maybe you don't always win 44 games. And so how do you wake up every single morning and roll your sleeves up and go to work if you only evaluate yourself on that win-loss record? I love what John Maxwell, how he defines success. I'm going to read it for you. It's success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. So the bigger question, when I got the job here at Indiana, Rebecca Blitz, who was a young woman that was a senior on the softball, within our softball program. She was in the Kelly School of Business, just such a bright young woman, exactly what we want to attract here, the best and the brightest. Okay, and so when I look and I'm out recruiting, I say, I'm not a head softball coach, I'm a dream maker. I get to be around young women at the prime of their life with all their hopes and dreams ahead of them. And I get to partner with them to help them achieve their dreams. So Rebecca is on the search committee. And fortunately, we hit it off. And one of her recommendations to Fred Glass at the time was she felt I should be the hire. And I'll never forget the very first question Rebecca asked me after I was hired. She came in and she was doing a lot of interviews through the Kelly School that they had helped set up. She's very successful now. Great to see what she's doing in life. And she asked me, gosh, they keep asking me on these calls, what is success? She says, I don't know how to answer it. And I said, well, you know, when I was young and I studied leadership a lot, I followed John Maxwell. It's like anything. Anybody that's great in their profession, in their fields, you always want to look and see and read, you know, what they do well. And so I'd read a lot of John Maxwell, and I told her, it's not so much about success. You're on a journey to significance. And he talks about 5 different things on that journey from success to significance. Because, you know, when I was a young coach and I was at IUPUI, it was about, you know, I was 23 years old when I got the head coaching job. Gosh, I didn't look much older than my players. I wasn't much older than my players. But it was all about winning and that next win and that next recruit so you could get to the next level, right? And so your motive, think of a toddler. Anybody ever have any toddlers or been around any toddlers? Been around any toddlers? They can be a treat at times, right? But when you're a toddler and you have that toy, it's mine, right? It was mine because I had it first. It's mine because I want it. It's mine because it looks good. It's mine because I'm excited about it. It's broken. It's yours, right? And that can be coaching sometimes, right? So it was exciting to watch Rebecca Blitz really dive into, you know, what do we want our program to be? Not just successful at Indiana, but we want to grow significant young women that go into the world and that they're pros at whatever they want to accomplish, that they know that we have refined them and given them the tools to be strong and able in whatever they do. And so I ask you, why Rotary? Like, I walked in and it's amazing to see all these tables filled up, and it's amazing to see you Zoomers. You know, what is today? When you're a coach, forgive my voice, I had camp all weekend, and so it's a little bit strained, which is great. It's helping me slow down a little bit. But, you know, here you are. Today's Tuesday, correct? Tuesday afternoon, and you could spend your time anywhere. You know, why Rotary? Tell me, somebody give me something. Why Rotary? Community, service, growth. Great group of people, great. Small town, I love it. What else? Great, am I a great speaker? Come on, give me a high five, come on, give it up. That's great. So, you know, why Rotary? Man, fun, I love it. You know, and you're right, great people. Had a chance to even briefly meet Charlotte. And Charlotte, you got to call me up and take me out to dinner sometime so I can get to know you. I hear her names on the building downtown, right? The Justice Department, is that what you said, Bob? Right? Pardon? The jail? I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. But one of the things, and I'll jump ahead, but one of the things that John Maxwell talks about in significance is in that journey from success to significance, when you're worried about success, it can last a lifetime. When you're worried about significance or focus on significance, it'll last several lifetimes. And so, Charlotte, when you think about your life and all that you have accomplished and that you continue to accomplish, you are touching a legacy of generations. And that's pretty exciting. And that's with me just 2 minutes sitting at a table before we got to eat. The magic is in the room. And you're welcome anytime. We need partners always, but you are welcome at Andy Moore Field anytime. Admission is free. See, I get off tangent here, Bob. You have to let me know I'm going over 5 things of John Maxwell. Success is significance if I lose my train of thought. We got that? Because coaches tend to get on tangents in their soapbox. Okay? But you're welcome anytime in Andy Moore Field. Admission is free. Who's been at a game? Oh, not bad. Did we win or lose when you came? Because that's how you were judging us. Won? So are you going to go back then? Yes. And how happy for you? We almost have $2 off the payroll. Right? That's pretty exciting. I have a daughter here that's a junior in the Kelly School business. And then I have a junior at home, and she plays soccer for Bloomington South. And then I have a son in 7th grade at Jackson Creek. And so Indiana, we're going into year 7, and it's neat to come full circle from having lived in Indianapolis almost 20 years ago to be back and this feel like home. And so if there's anything that I can ever do for you all, you are the pros. You are the ones that are connecting. You know, when I heard what I heard out of everything you said, I can characterize it in 3 things. You guys are competent. You probably are really good at what you do. When you have an initiative, you probably tackle it, and you probably tackle it well. You are caring, right, with the service activities that you do. And it seems like there's high character in this room. So if there's anything that I could be service of, call me and tell me that I spoke at Rotary and you'd like me to come help out with something. And if I'm free, I'll show up. I'll go. All you got to do is ask, like Bob did. So thank you for inviting me again, Bob. All right, so back to success, okay, and significance. We talked a little bit about lifetime. One of them is motives, which we talked about with children, right? When we first start and we're worried about success, our motive is selfish. When you're concerned with significance, selfishness is incompatible. It's completely incompatible. And so when I look at this room, even though I don't know you, many of you must be selfless. Again, for you to devote your time, your resources, your knowledge. And so give each other a high five. Come on. Hey, I told you I want engagement. We're going to get up and do more burners. Come on. Or a fist bump. I like fist bumps. You know, during COVID, I was more of a butt slapper, you know, because of the germs. I don't recommend that around here. Okay, let's get back to topics. See, I told you we can get off track a little bit. When you talk in terms of influence, if you're focused on success, it's very limited. When you're focused on others, it's unlimited. So your reach is so far reaching. You know, even though we're here together in Bloomington today, it's the power of who? If there's anybody in this room that needs something, and they could be many states away or many countries away, you pick up the phone, you have met each other, you know the expertise that's in this room, you know the care and competency that's in this room, and you all have a desire to connect and to serve. You pick up that phone and you call Bob and say, Bob, this is what I need. Can you help me? And now your influence is so far reaching. And now you're on that road to significance and you don't remain in success. Because if all I worry about is our wins and losses, I'd probably frankly be a miserable person to be around. You know, I've been fortunate that I've had the chance to play for a number of title games. I've been fortunate to be in the postseason, but I've also been on the flip of that coin where we've had many losing seasons. But I know my purpose and I know my mission and I know I'm a dream maker. I'm not merely a head softball coach. And I know a lot of times, you know, being the softball coach in Indiana, I get the privilege to speak at many engagements, to be around so many incredible people. And oftentimes I leave and I think, wow, I coach softball. You know, I'm playing in the dirt. We call ourselves a total fun zone. And I meet people and I'm always so amazed at what you get to do. And we like to talk a lot of times when I'm dealing with young people, it starts out what they have to do. They have to go to class. They have to train. And then you watch in their career from their freshman year to their senior year, they go from they have to they get to and they want to. You could fill those in, right? But where the real magic is and the real beauty is the love tos. And so I really encourage you, you show up at Rotary and maybe it started out because you really get to or you want to. And now maybe you feel like, well, I have to, or maybe you were a guest and they brought me, so I got to go. But when you, on a Tuesday, do you always meet on Tuesdays? Always this time? When you wake up each morning or the night before, we talk about winning the day, what's important now. It starts the night before. When you, that night before, think, what do I have on my calendar tomorrow? I have Rotary. And you think, man, I love to go to Rotary. Like those love tos in your life, that's where change really starts to happen. So let's talk a couple more: success and significance. Focus is one. When your focus is on yourself, again, you can be successful, but it's very limited. But when your focus is on others, again, we're getting into that significance range. And isn't that where you want to live? Right? Don't you all want to be on that journey from success to significance? And I know we live in a world where many times we think because either we have the monetary things or we have the people in our lives that we don't have in our lives, that we are successful. And I think of Tom Brady, and you'll have to Google this. I should have probably brought this clip, but years ago, and Tom Brady. Hey, what do you guys know about Tom Brady? Anybody? Give me, throw him out some things. What do you know? Okay, quarterback. What else? At Michigan, and he, at first wasn't a starter, had to really work. What else do you know about him? Cheater. We're gonna stick with all the positive things today, and we're gonna think in terms of he's a maker, not a taker. Okay, like you guys are makers and not takers. Go ahead. I heard something over here. Played into his 40s. Yes. 4 Super Bowls. Are you kidding me? Yeah, amazing, right? In terms of success, wins and losses. Yes. MVP. Yep. Again, we're staying in terms of positive. Okay. I got to keep coaching you up. One other thing. What about his personal life? And early on, he had all the what? What everybody think? He had the beautiful women. He had, all the money in the world. He had all the wins. Yes. Oh, good. You said it very well. Yeah, outstanding. Yes. You want me to repeat everything he just said? You want to come up here? He worked harder than, oh, go ahead. I was going to try, but go ahead.
Thing that you can hear me now, right? Was that he was the hardest worker. He didn't become the GOAT for nothing and for no reason. And it's 7 Super Bowls. He's got 7 rings. Not done, really. I think there's one other person that had 7. But at any rate, the most important thing was that he arrived first, he left last, and he made sure that everybody on the team had an understanding of what their goal was to be. And he concentrated on giving to them rather than having everything revolve around him.
Pretty amazing, right?
He's a
Sounds
leader.
like
He's a leader.
He's a leader. He's had success in our terms worldly of how we define it. And there's this great interview on him. He's on 60 Minutes. You could just Google Tom Brady 60 Minutes. And the interviewer is going over all these great things that you just mentioned. And he says, what's next? And he's like, oh gosh, there's got to be something more. Because up to this point, everything was about success. He hadn't found his significance. And so I encourage you, whether you already feel like you have the title, or whether you're unemployed, or you're retired, or you feel like you're on the back 9 or the front 9, wherever you are in life, it's never too late to transition from success to significance. Right now we've heard about baseball. It's heating up, the final or playoffs, right? Where college football Saturdays are fun for those people that are interested in that. So when you look in the sports world, there's a lot going on in the fall, but there's a little story in women's tennis with Coco Gauff. Anybody know anything about her? Amazing young woman, right? I think she's 19. 19, okay. Wimbledon, she didn't do so hot in her standards. And so she contracted Brad Gilbert, I think was his name. I'd have to look at my notes. Yeah, Brad Gilbert, is that right? Okay. I always thought my parents should have got me in tennis. I could have been a great tennis player, but it didn't happen. So Brad Gilbert, he's in his 60s. He's been retired. He's been an ESPN analyst. He's been out of the game. Here's this 19-year-old that needed help with her serve. And she said, I'm going to go contract Brad. And so why do I tell you that story, right? And here she's in the quarterfinals. Is that accurate?
She's playing right now.
Right now. We'll go Coco, okay? It sounds like it's not going to be an easy road either, but she's young and we're pulling for her, okay? But, she contracted him to work on her serve. And here's Brad thinking, I'm washed up. I'm done in the game. But what did he do? There's 2 things that he did is he continued to hone his craft regardless of the title. He continued to be transformational instead of transactional. And then when opportunity came open and it knocked, he opened the door. And so I encourage all of you as you sit here, wherever you are in that journey of success to significance, if you've been on the highway, I'm all gas, no break. If you come watch us play, we are in lion mode and we get after it and we attack, we attack, we attack. We teach our young women, nobody's going to give you anything in life. You got to go after what you want, right? And ultimately, we want to teach them that their identity is not in softball. Their identity is not in their schoolwork, right? We got to teach them Just like I know my purpose and my mission and where I'm going and how I'm a dream maker, not merely a head softball coach, right? It's what I get to do. And it's exciting and it's the total fun zone. But wherever you are on your journey, I hope you transition. And if you need to take a detour or take a hard right or make a U-turn, or if you're going head fast down that road of significance, continue. Because it's never too late. And now's time, right? Now's the time. So I ask you again, why Rotary? Why'd you show up today? How does this Rotary Club look any different than the other Rotary clubs across the country? How do you want it to look? Yeah, I want you to think about that. While you're thinking about that for a minute, I'm going to throw out some prizes. Okay, anybody know how many All-Americans we had last year? You got it, 3. I heard 2 people say 3. Bob, I'll throw them to you and you can throw them out. Okay? Or Alan, you want out? Okay, you both can help. Get my stuff out here. Zoomers, I don't know, just email me or something. Maybe we can, I can't see you. But if they get the answer right. We got a shirt, we got a hat. Okay. We're gonna see what kind of listeners you are at Rotary here. Where was my first head coaching job? You got it. Who said that? Give it to them. I will let you be the one that people aren't happy with. Anybody know how many wins we had last year? That's not how we define success, though. You got it. We got a winner. Let me see what else we got in here. Oh, good. I got one more shirt. Let's see. What would be another good question here? Where did I go to school? You got it. Bam. I love it. Take what you want. You did? Oh, my goodness. Well, we got to connect. Call me sometime. We'll go to lunch. Okay? All right, the one thing I want you to think about, I'm going to wrap up here. Well, how are we on time? I got a little bit of time? Oh, we'll give questions in a minute here, Bob. I got one more thing, okay? Right? Coaches take charge, but you wrap up if you want to. All right, so this baton, we call it our dynamite stick, okay, for our young women. They come in and we got to train them. There's 5 tools in softball. The 5 tools are their skills, right? Their arm strength, how they hit, those types of things. The 6th one is their mindset. That's the separator, right? So we have to pack this dynamite stick with all kinds of mental training, you name it, character building, how to get along with people these days. I think post-COVID, we're seeing that with our young people. Interactions have been a little bit more difficult. And so we pack it constantly. Anybody know in track and field, even though I'm a softball coach, I'm going to be a track and field coach today, what is one of the most exciting events outside of the 100-meter dash? Yes, you guys are smart too. The 4x100 relay, okay? And it's a beauty when they master it because it looks like one individual running around that track when it's 4. I want you to think about, and I can't remember the year it started, but there was a 4-year span, or not a 4-year, 4 Olympic span, so that'd be 16 years, that the US women had the fastest women on the planet. Incredible athletes, okay? 3 of those, the first 3 Olympics, they either dropped the baton, okay? They either got slow and sloppy in the exchange zone, okay? Well, one got slow, one got sloppy. One Olympics, they were out of the exchange zone, okay? And so you're disqualified when you drop it or you're out of the exchange zone. So when you think about that exchange zone, anybody know how many meters it is? Who said that? 20 meters. Are you a track guy? Yeah, I have to look it up every time. I forgot to look it up today before I speak, but I talk about the baton a lot. Okay. So our exchange zone is 20 meters. That's our life, guys. 20 meters. And you're passing the baton of what? I'm passing the baton of dreams. People think I'm passing the baton of teaching somebody how to field a backhand or how to hit a curveball. But I'm passing the baton of dreams. What are you passing the baton of? For some of you, it's education. Some of you, it's service, parenthood. Like you are passing the baton and you're going to go from success to significance because your time is going to be about others. Your motive is not going to be about you. going to be about others. It's not going to just last one lifetime. It's going to last several lifetimes. You're all planting trees that you may never get to pick the fruit from. How exciting is that? So I want you to think when you leave here, you're in your exchange zone. And what do you want that to look like? And so I appreciate you coming out and allowing me to share my time with you and talk a little bit about success and significance. And I hope you come out and support Indiana softball. We do play some fall games. We have a very special program that's near and dear to my heart, and it's a Little Sis program. The minute we open it up online, it closes within a couple hours. We have about 150 young women in the community that are sixth grade and below that are adult young women model. If you can see her, you can be her. And we invest in them. And those little kids show up at games and they want to be like, our young women. And it's an incredible program. So if you have a young woman that's in sixth grade or below, email softball.iu.edu or get in touch with Bob and let me know. And we'll make sure she gets on the waiting list for next year and we get her in that program because it's an incredible opportunity. What questions, Bob? We got any questions? Yes.
Truly inspiring, incredible talk.
Thank you. What was your name?
Aaron.
Aaron.
And so I think about that Tom Brady 60-minute interview almost every day.
Oh, wow.
And it bums me out, like really bums me out.
Yeah. It's sad when you watch it, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
And whenever that happened, like 15 years ago, whatever, I've thought about it like pretty much every day.
Right.
I was like sort of so shocked. I didn't really hear how do you relate that to your players? Like, what's the lesson there for them?
Right. The lesson is shared meaning and identity. So for me, I can share with them what my purpose is in life. So I know what I value. I value my faith. I value my family. I value having fun. I value working hard and winning. Okay. And so I know exactly who I am as a young woman. And so when I have a game and we get our brains beat out, or we are playing the championship game, or we go to postseason and we have the confetti for the selection show, I never ride the wave. I never get too high. I never get too low. And I know exactly what my purpose is. When I have a staff member that is incredibly difficult to work with, they're my grace growers, right? I don't look at that staff member as somebody who is a detour or somebody that's getting in my way. I look at it as somebody who I can help mentor and grow myself with patience and kindness. And I can go on all day about this, right? And so when you know who you are and you know where you're going, gosh, it just makes everything so much easier. So that's how I transfer to our student athletes. They think because they got a college scholarship, they're the 1 or 2% that get to go in a place like Indiana. Are you kidding me? They get to come study in Indiana, get a world-class education. They get to play softball with 18 buddies. I mean, you know how lonely it is for young people walking onto campuses at 18 years old at a big, vast campus like this coming out of COVID. They got to get involved. They got to get connected, right? And so that's what it is. Even Tom Brady, who you would think had it all, is saying, gosh, there's got to be something more. So think what it's like for our young people. And that's my job to help them. There is something more. And I'm going to help you find what it is for you. And I'm going to help you stay plugged into your power source like I do for me. Sound good? Charlotte.
Question, with all the conference realignment, the talk is about basketball and football. How are you going to take care of your young women with all of the travel and all of the missed time? I worry about women's sports in particular, but I'm concerned about the impact that it's going to have on the less visible sports.
Well, I think that's been a challenge we've always had from when I was a young girl playing. Title IX has assisted the efforts for me to be able to be a coach, and I stand here today because of Title IX. And so the concerns that occur currently are no different than the concerns that I've had in my 25-year career. And the only difference for us is we're actually out here in the Midwest, and there's going to be 16, 18, maybe 20 teams, and we only play a fraction of those teams. And so I'm going on year 7 and we've never even been to Northwestern. We're going to go there this year. And so, competency, we talked about competency, connection, care. We all already do some of those things very well. Our student athletes don't schedule classes on Friday. They take a Monday night class or an online class to be able to have no Friday classes. So they don't miss Friday classes. So we'll be fine if we need to fly out to UCLA on a Thursday and get back late on a Sunday night. We're already doing that. My team will bus sometimes 12 hours. We've already done that. And so the same concerns I've had that the general public currently has, everybody, we've had 25 for the past 20, 25 years. But, resources always matter. There's NIL, if you haven't heard of that, and you want to talk more, call me up. We're always looking for resources. We're always looking for NIL opportunities. But the same concerns that were yesterday are the same concerns that are today, and will probably the same concerns tomorrow. We just got to continue to take care of our young women we coach.
To use a common phrase, here's a real softball of a question, and that is, do you have any plan? What are your plans to replace the pitcher's mother in the stands for the fan experience? Probably have to tell people what that is.
She's pretty amazing, and she is a great example of others focused, right? And she cheers for everyone else as much as she does for her own daughter. If I could replicate that, man, I'd be making millions if I could sell that, because she's an incredible young lady. And her mom is awesome. Yes, final question, Charlotte.
Yes, I wonder, who was your mentor?
Well, my first mentor was my mom. What she instilled in me was just unconditional love. And so I knew if I wasn't a success, or I went 0-4, or I didn't get the grade that I wanted, that I'm loved. My dad instilled a really hard working ethic in me. And so I have the hard work and I have the love. And that's why I know my purpose and my mission. From there, I had the opportunity at Ashland University to work for 3 women who coached 3 different, I worked for 3 different sports: women's basketball, volleyball, and softball as a GA. And that afforded me the opportunity to become the head coach at IUPUI at the ripe age of 23. I would say now it's all my players. The student becomes the master, and they teach me many things. And Charlotte, if you'd like to be my mentor, again, call me for lunch. I'd love to join you. I will stick around for a few minutes. I know it's time to wrap up, but if you have any questions or just want to say hello, I will be available. I don't have anything until Orange Theory at 4:30 today. I am trying to get selfish and spend some time on myself. This last spring we ate well and it got after it a little bit, and I need to get back in the weight room and roll. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Such an inspiration to us all. Absolutely amazing. Steve, did you want to say something as well? So why don't you come up to the front so people can hear you on Zoom as well? And while he does that, I'll let you know that the USA tennis match with Coco Gauff is now 6-0 to Coco, 3-2 against, so she's doing very well against a player by the name of Ostapenko. So she's doing very well for herself. Steve.
So a brief announcement, Rowena was introduced as one of our guests. The reason she's here is there is some interest in the club of restarting our long dormant international exchange program. So after today's meeting, those who are not involved in Sarah's committee meeting, please find Erica and find Joy, and she's going to brief people, whether you're youth services or international or just interested. She'll brief you as to what's involved. Joy, who chairs our youth services committee, is going to join online. If you can't make it today, there is an opportunity Saturday at Ivy Tech, the youth services track, and contact Joy for more details about that.
Great.
Joy, do you have anything to add?
I think that's it.
No, I don't.
Okay, thanks very much, Steve. And our next meeting will be a club assembly. So that's next Tuesday. We'll be hearing from committee chairs and their committee plans for the year. So that should be very exciting. I know that everybody's been working very hard. So with that, let's share the 4-way plus 1 test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And as Charlotte said today, is it fun? Thank you. Thank you very much.